What is each candidate's energy policy for addressing the rise in gas and oil prices, as well as, I'd like to add, addressing global climate change issues, and your opinions on those? So they went first last time? No, you went first last time.
Well, the centerpiece of the Democratic Party and the Obama ticket plan is a plan to invest $150 billion over the next 10 years in alternative energies, whether that's nuclear, solar, geothermal, or wind. These are things that need to get done, and they're not going to happen without public research and development money being given towards them because they're not market ready. And on top of that, we need to make adjustments to our energy grid to accommodate these new energy sources. We've done this in the past. We can think of this like a new NASA space project, but we certainly can't do it if we have, in the sense of a challenge to our scientific and technological prowess. But what we can't do it with is with a government says that government should stay out of everything, that in a time in which the country's hurting, we should have a spending freeze on everything but defense, and that and a party whose motto is drill baby drill, when in fact the United States produces 3% of the world's oil and consumes 25% of it. Now somewhere in there, the math just doesn't work out. We're going to have to retrofit our infrastructure to become more energy efficient. We're going to have to be less dependent on oil. Drilling for more oil domestically, great. Do it, love it, fine. It's not going to do a damn thing for gas prices and climate change, which the time is ticking. And by the way, we also can't do it with a number 2 person on the ticket who doesn't think that climate change is caused by man. Climate change, it's a reality. The scientific community is in agreement on it. The carbon emissions caused by man's industrial processes have trapped heat gases in the atmosphere to melt the polar ice caps. Time's running out, and we could really use this as an opportunity to create new jobs in our economy. And Senator Obama and Senator Biden plan on also creating a manufacturing fund to identify and invest in the most compelling advanced manufacturing techniques, and that will help uplift middle America as well, where they've been hurting from the loss of industrial jobs. Thank you.
All right, first of all, I'd like to rebut the notion that Obama has endorsed a varied and multifaceted approach to investments in alternative energy. He has switched his opinions on many types of alternative energy, most importantly and specifically nuclear energy. At first he was for it, later he was against it, now he's for it. He can't really seem to make up his mind because he's not exactly sure where the polls are going to lead him. Okay. He's from Illinois, where there are, I think, 6 or 7 different nuclear reactors. And during his time in the Illinois State Legislature, he opposed their building. Now he proposes that we build more. It's really kind of difficult to get an opinion out of him. Nailing his energy policy, just like his tax policy, to the wall, is like nailing jello to the wall. It's really just amorphous. The second point I'd like to make is that Nancy Pelosi, the leader of the unfortunately democratically infested Congress, has said that permitting states to drill within 50 miles off their coast is unacceptable. She's saying that allowing the state governments to decide how to use their natural resources is unacceptable. Okay? How does Obama propose to counter this liberal line in the federal legislature? I don't understand. The third point I'd like to make is to rebut the insinuation that Governor Palin does not understand how climate change has been caused by man. That's a derivation and a distortion of what she said. She thinks that climate change may or may not have been caused by industrial infrastructure, and that more studies are necessary to determine whether or not it's part of a global climate pattern that happens every 10,000 years or so. The fourth point I'd like to make is that McCain has proposed market-based incentives for private industry to invest in alternative energy investments. What Obama proposes is that the government essentially take it over. So 1 minute? 1 minute. This is exactly the type of nearly socialist and quasi-fascist response that Obama has proposed to many economic situations. He doesn't seem to understand the value of a free market and a free trade. When you tell organizations, when you have a central planning committee that tells private industries what to invest in, they're not going to do it as efficiently and effectively as they could if they were provided with market incentives to do it on their own. McCain has been invested in free trade and a proponent of free trade since the beginning of his time in the Senate. Obama has not. Obama actually proposes further trade cuts at some points in the Senate, and when he trances around southern Illinois, he tells everybody that NAFTA is harming America's economy. Not only can he not... Done?
Well, I'm not going
You're
to
using your rebuttal now. Two.
All right, well, just briefly, if we're going to talk about it consistently, we do have to talk about John McCain's record, because he's got a really long record of A, not doing anything, or B, voting against bills that would subsidize alternative energy in Congress. For the past 8 votes, and those are just in the past few years, he's been absent or voted no. That's the record. That's what it shows. In terms of some isolated Illinois State Senate record, look, there are issues with nuclear energy, and there are issues with storage, and ask anybody who lives near a plant. Those are concerns for real citizens in this country. We do have to find better ways to store it and to make sure that these processes are clean and safe. Dismissing those concerns, I think, is dismissing the safety concerns of many Americans. I think my point about Palin stands. There's just absolute agreement amongst all reliable scientific sources that this stuff is caused by man. And ask any doctor, if you don't know the cause of an illness, you can't cure it. And that's a fact. In terms of market incentives versus imposing regulations, we need to do a combination of both. Obama's not planning a takeover, but there are certain technologies that are not market ready. They would not be done by private industry on their own because they're simply not profitable.
You have 1 minute for rebuttal, just a reminder. 3 minutes. Let's move to the question.